It's Monday. It's Monday. It's Monday. Hey, T. Evans, how are you? Good morning. All right, if you will, go ahead and, hey, point of view. Hey, Marky. Go ahead, if you will, and share this with everyone. We're going to share on Twitter, then we're going to share on Cloud Hub. Hope everybody has joined Cloud Hub. Hey, the non-fake generation. Hey, Judy. Hey, Monica. Good to see you. Okay, I'm going to invite our Cloud Hub friends in. Also, know if you'd like to watch this on Cloud Hub instead of any place else, you can go to cloudhub.com/Susan Knowles. Hey, Loretta, good to see you. Wayne, good morning. Stephanie Crow, good to see you. Hey, Renee. Okay, I'm going to read really quickly, just out of 2 Thessalonians, and then we'll get started. Do you not remember that when I was still with you, I told you these things, and now you know what is restraining, that he may be revealed in his own time. For the mystery of lawlessness is already at work. Only he who now restrains will do so until, hold on one second, until he is taken out of the way. And then the lawless one will be revealed, whom the Lord will consume with the breath of his mouth and destroy with the brightness of his coming. The coming of the lawless one is according to the working of Satan, with all power, signs, and lying wonders, and with all unrighteous deception among those who perish, because they did not receive the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And for this reason God will send them strong delusion, that they shall believe the lie, that they all may be condemned who did not believe the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. Hey, Debbie Treadway, good to see you. Hey, Blue, good to see you. Carol Williams. Morning, Kim. How are you? Boy, somebody got muted already. Susan, can't ever watch you real time. Always says loading. I catch you on the replays. I don't know why that is, Peyton, because also, Peyton, look at this. You can go to clouthub.com, clouthub.com/Susan Knowles. You can also find me at YouTube at the Susan Knowles Channel. You can go there. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Periscope and D Live. I'm like everywhere. Hey, Ellie Mae, good to see you. You see Bonnie, good morning. How are you? Good to see you. All right, so let's get started on some of the things that in breaking news today. The Supreme Court has ruled that the 1964 federal civil rights law on workplace discrimination protects gays and transgender employees. And the 6-3 to vote, Gorsuch and Roberts in the majority, with Gorsuch writing the majority opinion. Now, this lady on Twitter, her name is Carrie Severino, president of Judicial Network. Here's what she had to say. Justice Scalia would be disappointed that his successor has bungled textualism so badly today for the sake of appealing to college campuses and editorial boards. This was not judging, this was legislating, a brute force attack on our constitutional system. While the question of whether to amend Title 7 to add more categories may be a difficult one as a matter of policy, the question of the court's role on this issue was an easy one. Allow the people to decide the issue through their elected representative. Hey, Alan. Today, 6 judges acted as advocates, opted to rewrite the statute themselves, short-circuiting the legislative process, and in the process denying people a decision that should be theirs to make on a major issue. Have no doubts about what happened today. This was the hijacking of textualism. You can't redefine the meaning of words themselves and still be doing textualism. This is an ominous sign for anyone concerned about the future of representative democracy. We've seen so many times how the court system tries to act as the legislature. Hey, Daniel. And it's kind of, how the Congress won't do their jobs. And that Congress and the courts trying to tell the president he has really no powers under the executive branch. It's so upside down, so confused, so wrong. Hey, Dawn, good morning. Good morning, Doris. Good to see you today. Paula, too. Hey, Debbie. So we have a messed up, a messed up court ruling, if you want to look at it that way. And it really wasn't even needed, because we have laws against hate. We have laws against discrimination. Just goes along with everything else going on. It sure does, Robin. There's nothing that you can even rely on today that you used to be able to rely on. Things that we're seeing are just not the same as they used to be. And I can tell you, we're not going back. We're not going back. Hey, Mike, good to see you. All right, so let's get on to some other news that's going on. Let's talk about what happened. Well, let me talk about some other breaking news. The Republican National Committee and the Trump campaign posted their largest online fundraising day ever on Sunday, bringing it to $14 million across 3 entities on the president's birthday, smashing their previous online fundraising record of $10 million on October 19, 2016. Now, they're also saying that in Tulsa, Oklahoma, which has been changed from June 19th because of Juneteenth to June 20th, that they have seat capacity for like 19,200 people. And there has been a request as of today of 800,000 tickets for that event. So going to be a lot of disappointed people that can't get in. And of course, once again, what are we hearing? Oh my gosh, we can't have a rally like that. The coronavirus, there's going to be a second outbreak. Boop, 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 that type of thing. So now that the protests and the looting have simmered down just a tiny bit, we're back to, oh my gosh, COVID. And as we are hopefully seeing these days, hold on one second. How are you doing, Susan? I'm doing fine. Ahmad, how are you doing? Law atop of laws. Yep, judges making laws now. Yep, this is a constitutional republic, not a democracy, Wayne said. Yeah, well, you wouldn't know about what we're seeing. They should call the rally a protest and said, yeah. And it was so funny yesterday, Pastor Jack Hibbs said, don't worry if the authorities show up to try to shut down the church, because again, in California, you can only have 100 people or 25% of capacity, whichever is less. He said, I'll just call it a riot and we should be okay. And it's absolutely the truth. If you don't know by now that wearing that mask for a healthy person is a sign of submitting to being and allowing to be controlled. Susan, I wonder what they will pull next to stop the RNC. Stephanie, there's so much coming. There's so much coming. If you didn't hear Pastor Jack Hibbs' sermon yesterday, you really need to listen to it. It will help you so much in where we are today and feeling the peace that you need to feel rather than the confusion that a lot of people are feeling. Hey, Lee, good to see you. I know. Wasn't it great, Dawn? It was really great. Robin said, yes, great sermon. It really was. Opposition will use any port in a storm, Bonnie said. Yeah, Bonnie. Unfortunately, it will. Now, I want to tell you a little bit today. I have, I'm just taking the side for a second. Uncle Scuzz, how are you? Tomorrow's show on God's Views on Political News, I'm hoping it's going to go forward. Brandon, as you know, Brandon and Melody had a baby. And tomorrow, I think they have a doctor's appointment or whatever with the baby, which, is typical that you do after newborn. So Brandon won't be able to do it. What I'm going to try to do, if I'm successful, is I'm going to bring Bill on the platform like we did before. When I send out a link and people come on, I'm going to do that tomorrow for Bill, and we're going to hopefully have the show because we don't want to miss 3 weeks. Where can I find that sermon on Pastor Jack Hibbs? Edner said, you can go to YouTube, go to Real Jack Hibbs. Real Jack Hibbs. I think that's, let me just look really quickly for you. Make sure I can get it for you. Real Life with Jack Hibbs. Real Life with Jack Hibbs. And you'll be able to find that sermon. The message was called, Where Are You When the God of Heaven Calls Your Name? It was so great. So great. Probably one of his best sermons. Certainly needed to have that sermon yesterday, and again today and tomorrow, the next day. It was really good. Okay. The National Park Service is working to remove graffiti on the tomb of the unknown soldier of the American Revolution. They've had to enlist the help of professional people because there were so much on there, and it's like limestone. It's very porous limestone. Yes, that's a Christmas wreath. It's hard to see from here, but it has a lot of red and greens and gold in it, and that's a gnome holding a gingerbread man. So I've got my Christmas wreath already, and that is up on my Etsy shop too. Yeah, Pastor Hibbs was very on point. Beautiful, Judy said. Thank you. If anybody's ever interested in one of the wreaths that you see, just DM me and I'll point you in the right direction. Also, the police officer that was shot in the head in Las Vegas is on a ventilator, as we talked about the other day, and it appears that he is going to be paralyzed from the neck down. I can't even imagine what the family is going through and what he's going through and how he's suffering. Also, want to talk about the shooting that happened in Atlanta. Rashad Brooks, I believe it was. Anybody familiar with what went on? Have you seen the videos? Absolutely. Prayers for him, Robin. Thank you. Yes. So any opinions that you have so far? Yes, saw that, Michael said. Okay. Any opinions? Anybody? Basically, and he's so young. I know, Dawn, the officer in Vegas. Yes, I've watched. I didn't see it. Robin said, this assault on the police is heartbreaking and shameful. Now, this is the video, so I'm going to tell you what I saw. The shooting is justified, Brian said. I'm going to talk to you about what I saw. Soul Man said it was a justified shooting. When he turned with the taser, that was his biggest mistake. Hey, Brandon, haven't seen you in so long. Why did the guy resist? Well, okay, so the guy is sitting in line in his car at Wendy's, and I guess maybe Wendy's somebody called the police. And when the police got there, they had to knock on the window to get his attention. And, it's funny, when he got out of the car, he must have been used to drinking a lot. I don't know, because he wasn't stumbling all over the place that I would expect somebody with a 1.08 blood alcohol level that he finally blew, unless that was wrong or whatever. So they get him out of the car and he's standing there talking. Everything seems to be going really well. So the other cop, looking at the video, you see the defendant pointing the taser at police, appears justifiable shooting. Chicago Pop said, you're arguing with your husband. Okay. Barbara. Hi, Susan. Blessings. Thank you, Teresa. Good to see you. Yeah, he kept falling asleep, holding up the line in the car. They asked him to move his car over, and he did. The other officer comes up. He asks the guy to explain to him what was going on. He gets out of the car. He's standing there. He starts talking about being at some party and his daughter's party or something like that, which is odd because the man was, I believe, like 27 or something. So confused a little bit about that part. Then they have him do sort of a field sobriety. Body cam footage is online, Brandon said. And then he agrees to do a blood alcohol test. So when they say to him, you blew the blood alcohol test and you're under arrest for DUI, at that moment, like all hell breaks loose. There's a struggle. You hear them say, stop fighting or something, stop resisting. He finally, it appears, grabs the police officer's taser and starts to run, turns around, and that's when supposedly they shoot him. Now, there is listening to other police officers online. Yeah, they warned him before he was tased. Absolutely. And the officer kept, firing the taser, and then it all went bad. So Dan Bongino, looked at it, said it looks justified to him. Other police officers, I guess, have said that too. Now, quickly, the chief of police of Atlanta resigned. The officer, one of the officers, I don't know if it's the one who fired the shot. Maybe it was. I think he was terminated. and the other officer is on leave or something like that. So it was the officer who fired the shot that was terminated. Now, I don't know if this is true or not. This is going to have an impact on the case if it is true. The coroner's report in Fulton has, the medical examiner says that the victim, or Rayshard Brooks, was shot in the back twice. So if that's true, that's going to weigh heavily against the fact that this person needed to be shot. And I know everybody was saying, yes, he shouldn't have resisted the police. I agree with all of that. He should not have resisted the police, and nobody should resist the police, especially when you're drunk, supposedly, and all that. But it's going to go against the police officer because the man was shot in the back. Which, if you're looking at it in a court of law, and the people in the jurors looking at it are going to say that there was no more threat to the officers. The DA is in a tough runoff. That's why people are afraid he's going to bring charges against the cop, Brian said. If shot in the back, it's a deal breaker, Mike said. Yeah, it's going to be very, very difficult to justify shooting someone in the back when they are running away. So they let him run away. Yep, that's right. They do, Barbara. They tackle him some other way. They tase him again, whatever. If it's a threat is what you're trying to stop. Now, the officers, other people have made this observation too, that there were two officers there. He had a taser, and another officer could have and should have tased him. The one thing that might be in their favor is to say that, a lot of people say, well, it's just a taser. Why did you shoot him? It's not like a deadly weapon. Well, a taser can be a deadly weapon. It can make a person go into cardiac arrest. So that's what if there is a court trial and all that, that's what the attorney is going to have to argue, that it was a deadly weapon. Hey, hokey looking video. Well, hey, Linda, thank you. No, I know you're talking about the cops video. I don't know. Why do you think it's a hokey looking video? Hi, Susan. Heard that Barnes & Noble will no longer be selling Bibles, Bobby said. That's crazy. Haven't heard that yet. Shot him after he turned with taser pointed at a cop. That suspect could have gotten the gun. He was too far away for that, Brandon. He could have gotten the gun if he had tased the cop and it immobilized the cop. But remember, there was a second cop there. So you have to remember, again, you might look at it, and I might look at it, somebody else might look at it, and say, oh my gosh, this is so clear cut. He shouldn't have been wrestling with the cops. He deserved to die, whatever. A court of law is not going to look at it that way. A court of law is going to look at all the elements needed. Question not answered. Did the police know it was a taser, or did they think it was a gun? Don't know, Judy. Don't know. And that would be what would be coming out. Hey, Lynn Matthews, good morning. But if you think about it, he shot the taser over his shoulder. He was not completely turned around, so naturally would be in the back. But it was coming out, then he was on parole and was released because of COVID. Yeah, I heard that too. The video I saw shows him running, then turning and pointing taser at the officers. Maybe the shots that hit him in the back landed as he fell from the first shot. I doubt that very seriously, but anything's possible. He could have tased them and shot them if he was injured. Second cop. But there were two cops. Neither cop was injured. Both had weapons. Also, the taser gun had already gone off, so once it's shot, the prongs are no longer there, and shooting the taser off from distance could not have shot him with it. I have no problem with what the officers did, Sally said. They hadn't yet patted him down. He could have had a gun on him. They didn't know. Yeah, there's so many things. Again, all I'm trying to say to you is the sound of the shots are out of sync, Linda said. All I'm saying is that a court of law is going to look at every single element. How are cops trained when they believe an individual to be a threat? When I was going through the police academy, Brandon, you are trained to shoot to stop is what they call it. People say sometimes, well, why didn't they just shoot him in the leg? You are not taught to shoot somebody in the leg. That patted him down during the half-hour conversation with him. Too Trendy said he was throwing the cops around like a rag doll. He was, Judy. He was a strong guy. He really was. So, again, you don't want to get in an altercation with a police officer because it can get you shot. You don't want to take their gun or their taser because it can get you shot. He made a bad choice in life and paid with his life. Yeah, he did. He did, Wayne. He did. Whether it was justified to kill him or not is going to be the question. So the court's going to look at it, and the first thing they're going to ask is, was he still a threat to police officers when they fire their guns, or when the one cop fired his guns? That's going to be the question. He drove a 3,000-pound weapon to Wendy's and was so messed up he passed out. And that has nothing to do with whether or not the shooting was justified, Sally, but I understand. He was in the wrong, but the cops didn't need to kill him, to Trendy said. Well, and that's not clear cut either, to Trendy. We weren't there. And you can only see what you saw on the video, which, you weren't there. You don't know what was going on. You don't know what the cops were thinking. You don't know what he was doing. You see kind of at a distance what we think we saw, but we don't know. I have no problem with the officer being put on leave. I do have a problem with the officer being fired in riots before an investigation. I have a problem. Hey, Brenda Hales. I have a problem with Wendy's being burned down, for sure. Okay. Whether the guy was innocent or not, meaning the cop, I have a problem with vigilante. Morning, Brenda. Susan is really good. Thank you, Lynn. I have a problem with people, vigilantism, or whatever you want to call it, right? People taking the law in their own hands. I have a problem with that. Worst part is now a little girl has lost her father. And what I say to that, Brandon, is, and that is very sad. And her father should have known better than, one, to be drinking and driving, two, to get in an altercation with police. That doesn't mean he deserved to die. I'm not saying that. But as a father, he should have known better and acted better. And we wouldn't be talking about this at this point. Yes, she is very... Oh, thank you, Debbie. Me too, Susan. Vigilante justice running amok. It is. No reason to burn the Wendy's down. I know. He happened to be in line at Wendy's, and so now Wendy's is gone. And the CNN tried to film the looting and rioting that took place before Wendy's was set on fire. And supposedly one of the looters came over and broke the camera with a skateboard so that they couldn't film it. The Wendy's was black owned and burned down by a white woman. Cully said. Susan just read one officer was treated and released from the hospital. I think they are underlying discrimination against corporate America, Dawn said. Yep. All of this is crazy. The officer was fired before all evidence has been presented. See, Solomon, that's the problem. We're trying people in the public arena, in the public forum, before we have the facts. That's why I'm not willing to say one way or the other. I am saying, from what I saw, just from what I saw, the man who was shot and killed in this instance, number one, should never have wrestled with the police, should have, gone quietly, if you will, and allowed himself to be arrested because he was drinking, according to what they were showing, the blood alcohol level was. And other than that, I don't know if the police shooting was justified or not. That's going to have to be determined in a court of law, it seems like. And again, that will be the medical examination, that report. I don't know if what we saw was really the report or not, whether it was accurate, or even the report from the Fulton County Medical Examiner. It's not guilty until proven innocent. I didn't see it, so I don't know. Oh, it's now guilty until proven innocent, Robin said. Yeah, it is. Yeah, and again, hey, Gary, get the facts, didn't react, Stephanie said. Yeah, and get the facts, didn't react, which will never justify burning down a Wendy's or any other restaurant or looting anywhere. I think what the problem is that there are more than one type of forces of evil, only proven that Satan's time is limited, Dawn said. State of mind, he was drunk and irate. Yeah, Lynn, what are you asking about state of mind? I mean, his state of mind, it may have caused him to think something else was, I doubt it. He didn't act like he was unaware of what was going on. Police shooting is almost always justified. Too, Trendy said, Antifa doesn't care about facts. True. Our spokesman for the mayor just stated it, a privilege, not a right to own a business. Well, if you work for it and you know, have everything that you need to start a business, it is your right to have it. It's going to look bad for the cops, so they can justify to defund the police in Atlanta, Ellie Mae said. Yeah, I mean, again, should we have some police reform? Remember, this all started once again with George Floyd's death. George Floyd was not choked out. He was not in a chokehold and choked out. And yet at this time, we're getting rid of chokeholds and saying we're never going to have those again. That's not how George Floyd died. He died with a combination of, supposedly, with pressure on the back, pressure on the neck, things of that sort. But there was no actual chokehold used on him that any of us saw in the video. I didn't. Poor Wendy's tensions are running so high. Did we have this until the elect? Yeah, we have this in forever, I think, Nanette. 7 police officers have resigned in Minneapolis, 7 more in the process. We are taking over. Oh, Antifa, are you taking over? So, yeah, it's just all kind of ridiculous. More than kind of. I mean, it's really ridiculous. Also, I'll have to tell you, there's something that's trending around taking over the basement. There's something that's trending today on Twitter. And I think the Georgia Bureau of Investigations is leaning towards justified, and the DA wants charges filed, Brian said. And again, the medical examiner's report is going to be important. It really will be. So you have to wait for that. And supposedly they have it. Now, it's odd because that medical examiner's report was done in, 2 seconds? I mean, it was done quickly. And if I were the family, like when the George Floyd one, I would probably hire somebody to do a second one. Although this one is kind of damning, so maybe they feel like they don't need to. The speedballing thug that held a gun pregnant woman's stomach, Sally said. Which begs the question, if no chokehold, then why are they banning chokeholds? Not logical. And Lynn, true. But what is logical today? Very little. Very little. One more log for the political fire. Yeah. Now, there was a woman who was a Black Lives Matter activist who was allegedly just killed by a black man. Nobody's talking about it. Nobody's coming out in her defense. Nobody is even, I mean, they're trending on Twitter, but I don't see people taking to the streets. Again, this was a black woman, it appears, that was allegedly killed by a black man. So are we just going to go, oh, well, c'est la vie. She wrote this on her Twitter feed before she was killed. Narratives rule the headlines, right, Brandon? She said, anyways, I was molested in Tallahassee, Florida by a black man this morning at 5:30 on Richview and Park Avenue. The man offered to give me a ride to find someplace to sleep and recollect my belongings from a church I refuged to a couple days ago to escape unjust living conditions. He came disguised as a man of God and ended up picking me up from a nearby Saxon Street. I entered his truck only because I carry anything to defend myself, not even a phone, which is currently at the church, and I have poor vision. I trusted the Holy Spirit to keep me safe. When we arrived at his house, he offered me a shower, and I thanked him and he gave me a change of clothes. He exposed himself to me by, I won't tell you. I told him about a sexual assault situation that happened. Going back to the situation that happened to me this morning, I did not fall asleep. He then asked me if I wanted a massage. At this moment, his roommate, who was in the house, was asleep. I was laying on my stomach, trying to calm myself down from severe PTSD. He started touching my back and rubbing my body, using my body until he, whatever, and then went to sleep. Before I realized what happened to me, I looked over and his clothes were completely off. Once I saw he was asleep, I escaped from the house and started walking from Richview Road to anywhere else. Tragic story of the taking of a life of a 19-year-old black woman who, again, BLM activist, and you've seen her in some of the videos. They're claiming that it was a black man who killed her. I don't know how they came to that. I guess they're alleging that the guy who did this to her, allegedly, is the one who killed her, and it was a black man. And so now it's kind of trending on Twitter. Oh my gosh, black women are treated horribly. Nobody cares if a black woman dies. Why isn't anybody talking about this? And then they're turning it back to the police. That it's the police's fault that she died. So it's crazy. We'll have to start GoFundMe campaigns for police officers, Soul Man said. Yep. Because it doesn't fit their agenda to take it to the streets. Exactly. So this young woman, and she was a very, I guess she was an activist and very outspoken, but and nonetheless did not deserve to die in any way, shape, or form. And yet nobody's speaking out for her. How can the American people get it through their heads that this BLM is just another arm for the Democratic Party to receive funding? I don't know, Debbie, but let me read you. For those of you, halftime retweet. Wow. Okay. So let's go ahead and retweet, and retreat too. let's go on a retreat, shall we? I would love that. Anybody have any suggest any good places? All right. First, everything was Trump's fault. Now everything is the police's fault. Exactly, Dawn. Exactly. So let me read to you a little bit on the about page of Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter was founded in 2013 in response to the acquittal of Trayvon Martin's murderer. Black Lives Matter Foundation is a global organization in the United States, UK, and Canada whose mission is to eradicate white supremacy and build local power to intervene in violence inflicted on Black communities by the state and vigilantes. By combating and countering acts of violence, creating space for Black imagination and innovation, and centering Black joy, not sure what that is, we are winning immediate improvements in our lives. And it goes on to talk about things. It seems like they've kind of changed the wording to be a little bit less aggressive, evil, whatever. Cloud Hub is frozen. Great. Why does that happen? Why? So I'm not sure why Cloud Hub froze. Okay, hopefully that came back. Hopefully you can see now, Bonnie, and hopefully you're still there. Okay, so the other thing, I don't know if you read my guy that started Black Whatever hiding in Cuba right now, BC said. Also, I wrote a report today or an article at SusanKnowles.com on Chaz. You need to go there and look at that article and watch the video. If you haven't seen that video, you really need to see that video. A man who proclaimed to be I don't know, somebody who wanted to spread the gospel, walked into Chaz. And you might expect that when you walk into Chaz in this free zone, this zone where we don't like police, but we like everything else. We are a fun-loving socialist and communist country or state of Chaz. This guy walks in there, and immediately when you're watching this video, now I've seen two videos. The one that's in my article shows these people like gathering, swooping in on this guy. They're touching him, which you cannot legally touch somebody without their permission. So in most states, that would be an assault and battery. Yeah, Summer of Love Block Party. And one guy even takes his cell phone and says, I got a cell phone, I'm holding his cell phone. And then some other guy who's in the group, don't know if he's a Chaz member or not, goes up and tries to wrestle away the phone from the other protester who has it. Now, at one point, there was a video that's out there where one of the alleged Chaz protesters has the preacher, gospel preacher anyway, I don't know if he's a real pastor, but has him in a chokehold, practically. He's got his arm around his neck. And I didn't see anybody who resigned from the group because of what happened to the man, nor did I see anybody get terminated from the group. I also didn't see any arrests being made. I know it's Gracie, Big Mouth Gracie. So I didn't see any of that. So battery and theft upon a street preacher is okay in Chaz. Absolutely. Absolutely. Stephanie, you can do whatever. Okay, cool. Thanks, Bonnie. Thanks for letting me know that too. Thank you, Dawn. Dawn said, very good article. Thank you. BLM doesn't care about Black lives. Why aren't they marching in Chicago? Well, and we know that, right? If it's black on black, we're not allowed to talk about it. But if it's white cop on black person, then you can talk about it. A gay man was licking his face. Oh gosh, I wouldn't want any. Well, that's also, Sally, that's also an assault and battery in most states. You using your tongue to touch somebody's body, that's an assault and battery in most states. Yeah, I wouldn't want somebody licking my face. I don't care who they are. That's disgusting. Okay. Senate Republicans are set this week to present their police reform legislation, and that is headed by Tim Scott, I believe, and it may include restrictions on police chokeholds. So there again, Emmanuel Macron in France announced on Sunday that his country is going to combat racism and bigotry, but would not let violent rioters destroy statute or rewrite France's history. So we have a cancel culture that is rewriting our history. France is saying, no, you're not going to rewrite history in France. Kind of wishing that we would take the same stance here, but we're not seemingly doing that right away. And again, a lot of people are saying, why isn't President Trump going in and stopping this and that and the other? It's supposed to be up to the states to take care of these things within their own state before the federal government determines whether or not it should be involved. Now, one thing that I heard, I don't know if this is true. I certainly didn't like it if it is. And by the way, wasn't one of those cops black that were right there during the Floyd murder? Yeah, I understand, David, that he was biracial. We must take some stance, Sally said. Yeah, we should. Will we? Do we have the, fortitude? Do people get together in our groups and do anything, Sally? That's kind of the question. All right. I heard that the U.S. Surgeon General supposedly pushed back on the idea that face coverings infringe on freedom, which they do. Saying if Americans wear them, we'll have more freedom to go out. No, sorry, no. These liberal states are letting these social justice warriors destroy American history. Yes, and in the process, just destroy American history and destroy America, Stephanie Crow. So I don't know why the Surgeon General would say something like that, because it's ridiculous. We all know, did you see the Black Trans rally yesterday? I forget where it was. Everybody was packed in there like sardines. So we didn't talk about social distancing there. We didn't talk about wearing a face mask. None of that. None of that seems to matter unless you're a business, you're a church, or that you are a part of a sports. Let's say Black history is American history. Yeah. Part of it is, yeah, there's a lot in American history, and that is part of it, yeah. Economic advisor Larry Kudlow, not a doctor, not somebody who is anything to do with medical that I know of, said people at President Trump's rally next week in Tulsa, Oklahoma, probably should wear masks. I don't think you're going to see any masks. You could, but I think that whole mask thing seriously has been blown out of the water, and it just shows you it's a control thing. It is a conditioning you to control you, to make you think that if you'll just wear a mask, you'll be safe. But they are block parties as usual. Exactly, Bonnie. People are getting together. People are not listening to that. Hello, Henry. I believe the term is selective social distancing. Yeah. Protesters did a 6-inch rule, not 6 feet. They don't do 6 inches even. Only MAGA masks allowed. Yes, that would be great. That would be great. And I don't wear a mask. I'm done with it. Did a Perry on it yesterday. Barbara said, masks are not end all to be all. My husband is going back and forth with the school about masks. Many don't want to wear them. Yep. I wear a mask around my chin. Soul Man said, I don't wear a mask at all. I don't wear a mask at all. The mask causes your face to break out. What do they do to your lungs? Linda, supposedly, if you wear them long enough, you could get pleurisy. But of course, those people who don't want you to know that don't want you to tell that to you, and they don't want it to be on Facebook or anything else. Rest in peace. That was the young lady, Northwester, that I was talking about. I can't pronounce her name, but I'll try to spell it to you. It was Oluway Toyin. That's what she called herself. OLUWAYTOYIN. And her was at Virgin GRL Toyin, at Virgin Girl Toyin. I don't know what that all meant or anything else. Dawn said, I can't breathe with a mask. I can't either. It's horrible. And around here, if you want to get a haircut, you got to wear a mask. They won't even see you unless you wear a mask during your haircut. It is a hoax. It is a hoax, Henry. It is an absolute hoax. And I've had people on Twitter. Oh, really? That's funny, Barbara. Yeah, you tell the truth about Facebook and they slap you with a false report. I try to tell people that it was a hoax, and on Twitter they say to me, I'm in California, Firefly. Sorry to hear of your loss, Northwester. Well, I've heard, I mean, I didn't know her personally, but yeah, it's a horrible loss. Replying to Don Erickson. Oh, okay. So I tell people to hoax, and they say to me, oh, wow, 117,000 people died of COVID. I'm sorry, that's not enough deaths for you. And I said, those COVID statistics were flu, COVID-19, heart attack, skin knee, or anything else that you could put together and throw in and say it's COVID-19. God gave us oxygen, and we should not be hindered to breathe oxygen. We are fearfully and wonderfully made. Not such a good idea to breathe for extended period of time. Recycled carbon dioxide. Because of wearing a mask, our God-given immune system works just fine. This is, yes. Hey, Thomas, love those people who hold a I can't breathe sign and wear a mask. Get rid of the mask, you dingberry. I know, Thomas. This is just a virus scam. Yes, it is. It is a virus scam. They were also people, not just diseases. They were also people, not just diseases. Who are we talking about? Firefly. Who are they? And what are you talking about? Are you talking about the people who died of COVID, supposedly? Is that what you're talking about? Hey, Kim. Plandemic. Yep, Sally. Absolutely. Okay. This is interesting. We didn't hear about this, the ones you just listed. Nobody said they weren't people or that they were just diseases. So I'm not sure how you came to that conclusion. I think that's what he meant. I don't know. Okay. A probe at the National Institute of Health has led to the firings and resignation of 54 scientists after they failed to disclose foreign ties while registering for grants. Do you think we have a problem there? Family friend died from kidney failure and it was marked as COVID. Yep, that's a lie, Robin said. The mask caused your face to break out. What do they do to your lungs? Anyone with the brains God gave a goose would do their research about what these masks can and cannot do. I know, Stephanie. So the leading health agency opened investigations into nearly 200 scientists with unreported foreign ties. 93% of the undisclosed funding came from China. 81% of many Minnesota deaths were nursing homes. Yeah, that's really sad, Judy. Priceless, fake, corrupt scientists terminated. Yep. The NIH has so far removed 77 grant recipients from its database. And see, these are the same people who were telling you, oh my gosh, COVID's coming to kill you. COVID is bad. Wear a mask. COVID, all that. I mean, these people were involved. Where did COVID start? Wuhan, China. Who are these people? These are people that are interacting with China, getting funding from China. And these are the same ones supposedly telling Americans what they need to do because of COVID-19. I don't know. Is there a conflict of interest there or what? Also, you probably heard Hank Williams Jr.'s daughter died in a Tennessee car crash over the weekend. Only 27 years old. Horrible. Why is Hawaii getting facial recognition and heart sensing in airport? Because Hawaii is a very Democrat-controlled state that is so far left, it's probably farther left than California. So it is their list of recipients. I didn't see that, but if you just Google that article, you should be able to find that, Lynn, if they have them there. I think they did talk about some of them, but I don't really know. I don't think it went into detail. In South Korea, the U.S. Embassy stands in solidarity with fellow Americans grieving and peacefully protesting to demand positive change. Our Black Lives Matter banner shows our support for the fight against racial injustice and police brutality as we strive to be more inclusive and a just society. Oh, heat. Sorry. Planning for masks. Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, Northwestern, it's going to be everywhere. This contact tracing and all that stuff. They're not going to just stop at that. So what I was going to say about South Korea, they put up that Black Lives Matter banner. If I were President Trump, I would order it taken down. That is the U.S. Embassy in South Korea that put that banner up, and it needs to come down. If I were the president, that's what I would say. But anyway, all right. We are going to go into the reading of the Bible. We are in John. I'm going to start in chapter 7. Our plan in BC has been keeping the COVID infection rate down. Firefly, that's everybody's motivation. Doesn't mean it's happening, and it doesn't mean that it's as deadly as they say it is. Good morning, my lovely Sue and Lady Gracie. We here in the Caribbean are praying for you all. Thank you, Josette. Another issue the NSA can use to surveil us. Yeah, exactly, Brandon. Okay, Jesus' brothers disbelieved. Chapter 7, John chapter 7. After these things, Jesus walked in Galilee, for he did not want to walk in Judea, because the Jews sought to kill him. Now the Jews' feast of tabernacles was at hand. His brothers therefore said to him, Depart from here, and go into Judea, that your disciples also may see the works that you are doing. For no one does anything in secret, while he himself seeks to be known openly. If you do these things, show yourself to the world, for even his brothers did not believe in him. Then Jesus said to them, My time is not yet come, but your time is always ready. The world cannot hate you, but it hates me because I testify of it that its works are evil. Sound familiar? Jesus saves. Absolutely, Henry. And Cheryl said BLM is a pro-abortion. Churches should know that before displaying it. Yes, Cheryl. You go up to this feast. I am not yet going up to this feast, for my time has not yet come. When he had said these things to them, he remained in Galilee. The heavenly scholar. But when his brothers had gone up, then he also went up to the feast, not openly, but as it were in secret. Then the Jews sought him at the feast and said, Where is he? And there was much complaining among the people concerning him. Some said he is good, others said, No, on the contrary, he deceives the people. However, no one spoke openly of him for fear of the Jews. Now about the middle of the feast, Jesus went up to the temple and taught, and the Jews marveled, saying, How does this man know letters, having never studied? Jesus answered them and said, My doctrine is not mine, but his who sent me. If anyone wills to do his will, he shall know concerning the doctrine, whether it is from God or whether I speak on my own authority. He who speaks from himself seeks his own glory, but he who seeks the glory of the one who sent him is true, and no unrighteousness is in him. Did not Moses give you the law, yet none of you keeps the law? Why do you seek to kill me? The people answered and said, You have a demon. Who is seeking to kill you? Jesus answered and said to them, I did one work, and you all marvel. Moses therefore gave you circumcision, not that it is from Moses, but from the fathers, and you circumcise a man on the Sabbath. If a man receives circumcision on the Sabbath, so that the law of Moses should not be broken, are you angry with me because I made a man completely well on the Sabbath? Yes, they were. Do not judge according to appearance, but judge with righteous judgment. Could this be the Christ? Now some of them from Jerusalem said, Is this not he whom they seek to kill? But look, he speaks boldly, and they say nothing to him. Do the rulers know indeed that this is truly the Christ? However, we know where this man is from, but when the Christ comes, no one knows where he is from. Then Jesus cried out as he taught in the temple, saying, You both know me, and you know where I am from, and I have not come of myself, but he who sent me is true, whom you do not know. But I know him, for I am from him, and he sent me. Therefore they sought to take him, but no one laid a hand on him, because his hour had not yet come. And many of the people believed in him and said, when the Christ comes, will he do more signs than these which this man has done? Jesus and the religious leaders. The Pharisees heard the crowd murmuring these things concerning him, and the Pharisees and the chief priests sent officers to take him. Then Jesus said to them, I shall be with you a little while longer, and then I go to him who sent me. You will seek me and not find me, and where I am, you cannot come. Then the Jews said among themselves, where does he intend to go, that we shall not find him? Does he intend to go to the dispersion among the Greeks and teach the Greeks? What is this thing that he said? You will seek me and not find me, and where am I, you cannot come. The promise of the Holy Spirit. On the last day, that great day of the feast, Jesus stood and cried out, saying, if anyone thirsts, let him come to me and drink. He who believes in me, as the scripture has said, out of his heart will flow rivers of living water. But this he spoke concerning the Spirit, whom those believing in him would receive, for the Holy Spirit was not yet given, because Christ was not yet glorified. Who is he? Therefore many from the crowd, when they heard this saying, said, truly, this is the prophet. Others said, this is the Christ. But some said, will the Christ come out of Galilee? Has not the scripture said that the Christ comes from the seed of David and from the town of Bethlehem where David was? So there was a division among the people because of him. Now some of them wanted to take him, but no one laid hands on him. Rejected by the authorities. Then the officers came to the chief priests and Pharisees, who said to them, why have you not brought him? The officers answered, no man ever spoke like this man. Then the Pharisees answered them, are you also deceived? Have any of the rulers of the Pharisees believed in him? But this crowd that does not know the law is accursed. Nicodemus, he who came to Jesus by night, being one of them, said to them, does our law judge a man before it hears him and knows what he is doing? Wow, yeah, I think it's true. They answered and said to him, are you also from Galilee? Search and look, for no prophet has arisen out of Galilee. An adulteress faces the light of the world, and everyone went to his own house. Let me see what time it is. Okay. Chapter 8. But Jesus went to the Mount of Olives. Now early in the morning he came again into the temple, and all the people came to him, and he sat down and taught them. Then the scribes and Pharisees brought to him a woman caught in adultery, and when they had set her in the midst, they said to him, teacher, this woman was caught in adultery in the very act. Now Moses in the law commanded us that such should be stoned, but what do you say? This they said, testing him, that they might have something of him, of which to accuse him. But Jesus stooped down and wrote on the ground with his finger, as though he did not hear. So when they continued asking him, he raised himself up and said to them, he who is without sin among you, let him throw a stone at her first. And again he stooped down and wrote on the ground. Then those who heard it, being convicted by their conscience, went out one by one, beginning with the oldest even to the last. And Jesus was left alone, and the woman standing in the midst. When Jesus had raised himself up and saw no one but the woman, he said to her, woman, where are those accusers of yours? Has no one condemned you? She said, no one, Lord. And Jesus said to her, neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more. Then Jesus spoke to them again, saying, I am the light of the world. He who follows me shall not walk in the darkness, but have the light of life. Jesus defends his self-witness. The Pharisees therefore said to him, you bear witness of yourself. Your witness is not true. Jesus answered and said to them, even if I bear witness of myself, my witness is true, for I know where I came from and where I am going. But you do not know where I come from and where I am going. You judge according to the flesh. I judge no one. And yet, if I do judge, my judgment is true, for I am not alone, but I am with the Father who sent me. Come on up. It is also written in your law that the testimony of two men is true. I am one who bears witness of myself, and the Father who sent me bears witness of me. Then said to him, Where is your Father? Jesus answered, you know neither me nor my Father. If you had known me, you would have known my Father also. These words Jesus spoke in the treasury as he taught in the temple, and no one laid hands on him, for his hour had not yet come. Oh no, I lost my place. All right, so there's Gracie, who's interrupting the Bible reading to say hello. She had to get in on it. Hey, Gracie. Everybody sing hi. Hey, Danielle. All right, baby. All right. Look at the camera. Look at the camera. Go look at the camera. So, come on. Let's see. Come on up is not in the scripture. I know. Adorable. Hi, Gracie. So sweet. Thanks, Cindy. Yeah, she, every now and then. Okay, cool, Danielle. Haley May says, hi, Gracie. Karen says, hi, Gracie. Rue says, sweet baby. Puppy. Yeah. She thinks she's still a puppy. She's 4 years old. She just had her birthday recently. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Firefly Moments. Give her a kiss for me. I will, Danielle. She gets so many kisses. My gosh. Such a cutie. Thank you, Debbie. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. If you will, please retweet this. I know, Dana. She's just like, she's so cute. Everybody says, morning, Greasy. Let everything that has breath praise the Lord. Absolutely, Rue. Thomas is waving. Such a cutie. I like puppies. Me too, Gary. Thank you. I mean, thank you, Susan. You are welcome, Chicago Pops. Thank you, everybody. God bless you. And if you will, please share this and retweet it. And I'll see you, God willing, tomorrow. Thank you, Karen. Karen says she's adorable. All right, everybody. Thank you. God bless. All right, everybody. See you tomorrow. God bless you. Take care.